Hey, 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 and goodness to you. This is Sporty King coming at you live in person on Wednesday. And of course, I call it Glue Wednesday, by the way. All right. And I'm actually on 5 minutes early if you're getting on in person. But I like to say goodness to you because I don't know whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening that you're watching. So isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? I always get on 5 minutes. I try to be on at least 5 minutes earlier than the broadcast time to give the technology a time to catch up with people. And this is the day that I do my shout outs, my interactive day. I broadcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But this is my interactive day. And so if you get on there, put a shout out in the thread and I can post that and get your picture up there, especially since now I'm broadcasting on 3 different platforms. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So once somebody puts a comment in there, I can then post that up and then everybody will see it. But otherwise, if I don't click on it, then people at the other two would not see it. So for instance, there's Victor saying, hey, from Facebook, but now everybody on YouTube or LinkedIn can also see that. So thanks, Vic, and good morning to you. Yep, and yes, it's good to be back. What's the matter, Vic? You early today? But and that's the beauty of it all. I use the word early, but I always like to say that no one's ever late. You're getting there when you get there because when you think about why you are, your schedule has changed or you can't get to someplace on time as it's called, you can usually find that you've got some pretty legitimate reasons. One of the things that I learned, I wrote a poem, I might even use it this week, years ago called, Time's Up. I can't remember what it was, but it talked about the concept of being late versus being late versus being, getting there when you are supposed to get there. And I talked about how so often when we rush to get somewhere, start to notice this, when you're in a hurry to get somewhere and because you're running quote unquote late, I usually say that 7 out of 10 times as I'm driving, I come across a car accident on the highway or the street in the direction that I'm going. And it always makes me appreciate that had I been quote unquote earlier, I may have been in that accident. And so I actually say a prayer every time I see that. And it's a reminder to me that, you can't rush. You got to get there, when you can. But I don't try to not be at the scheduled time. But if something happens, I decide to recognize it that God has said, hey, Sporty, I need you to slow down and do this so you don't have to be 15 minutes, leaving 15 minutes earlier that would get you in that. See, it's always about how you're going to look at things. And that's going to be something we talk about this message as well. Okay, so here's Roger Carroll. We got less than 2 minutes, for today's message. But here's Roger Carroll coming in on Facebook as well. Sporty old fan. I have a good friend, and I hope she comes on, but I'm going to give her a shout out anyway. Linda Hanna in Chicago, who always called me Sporty O. And so, I don't know. I don't remember if I've ever seen you call me that, heard you call me that, Roger Carroll. And if I have at least I know it's not regular, but that Linda didn't even say Sporty. She only said Sporty O. So, so thank you for checking in. And got the 2 of the main family members, Vic and Roger Carroll. Y'all have been such a blessing. I've been doing this broadcast since 2017, Glue Wednesday. If this is your first time, and Glue Wednesday, I did it because so often people say that Wednesday is Hump Day because old school rules, and we used to say, hey, you work Monday to Friday or the weekend. We didn't use the term flex time. And so we just said they said Wednesday was Hump Day. And I said, well, you know what? Why that hump can have a connotation of the need to get over. Why not look at Wednesday as the traditional middle of a 7-day week, regardless of when you work? So it's the day that keeps the week end and the week beginning together. So it's the glue. It pulls the 7 days together. And it put me in my prayerful mode. And if I let my glue stand for GLUE, God's love undoes everything. Not that it tears it apart, but that whatever is torn apart, God's love will bring it back together. So that's what Glue Wednesday is all about. So thank you, Vic and Roger Carroll, for being with me since 2017. That's why Vicky was saying, hey, Roger Carroll, they never met in person, but this is where we meet. And there's Daphne. What's going on? Howdy. Everybody got some different words here today. Oh, we on the road. And it's 1 o'clock time for our meeting. But howdy, y'all. It's Daphne. Daphne comes in from Chicago as well. And we become great friends. So it's all good. So that's another Facebook shout out. And there's another one from Vic saying, hey to Roger Carroll. Yeah, speak to one another as you get on this broadcast, because you know we're getting ready to do some talking to ourselves as well anyway. So here we go with Glue Wednesday. Glue Wednesday. God's love undoes everything. Look, while I'm going to recap last week's message, because we end up making last week's message a 2-week series, okay? We made last week's message a 2-week series. While I recap last week's message, one thing we agreed to do was to fit ourselves in each of these 5 perspectives, okay? Are you an aunt or an uncle, a parent or a child, a sibling or an only child, you grew up in a city or a town, you're from a large family, 4+ children, or a small family? So we agreed to fit ourselves into those perspectives and put those in the thread. So you can either put it back in the thread, or if you're new, please add yours. There's mine streaming across the bottom. I'm an uncle. I'm a child because I'm not a parent. I'm a sibling because I have brothers and sisters versus being an only child. I grew up in the city, and I'm from a large family. So those are my perspectives. Okay, you can either put those in the chat and get those back to everybody, and so so we can see and then I'll bring that point up. Y'all from last week, y'all know why we're doing it, but feel free to put your perspective. Yeah, we'll call those your perspective viewpoints, your 5 easy for me to say because I just made it up. The perspective viewpoints, put that in the thread so that people can see it. And anybody else, again, if you weren't with us last week, you can go on and put yours in. Are you an aunt or an uncle? And I'm not saying just pick 5 things that you want to do, by the way. Pick from these 5. All right? Meanwhile, the Bible that I read is called Touchpoint. So I'm recapping right now. The Bible I read is called Touchpoint. And in the back, it points to places where Scripture can have modern day application. 2 things attach themselves to my guiding Scripture for this message, which is Romans 8 and 28. And it says, and that Scripture is, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love him and who are called by him. So accompanying that scripture was the blurb, even if we don't always make the best decisions, God has the power to make the decision turn out in our best interests. Which led me to title last week's Glue message and this one as one about choices and decisions. You see, we have to choose and decide whether we're living in the new normal or the now normal. The new normal or the now normal. Stop to see what we got going on in the chunk. Vic, well, put them all in there, Vic. I'm not just one. So Vic, you put them all in there, all 5 perspectives that you qualify for, choosing from those. See how Roger Carroll just did it? She's an aunt. And a parent, a grandparent, a siblings from a city and a small town. So Vic, I can tell you that you are an uncle. I know that you're a sibling because you don't have any kids. I don't think you're a parent. I don't know, but you grew up in a large city. Okay, so that's how I want you to put. Okay, what you got there, Daphne? Roger Carroll. Hey, Roger Carroll. Hey, Vic. All right, but yeah, follow that model of what Roger Carroll did. And choose from those 5 viewpoint perspectives and put those in, and let's see where we go with that. Okay. So anyway, come on. I'm recapping. Okay, I'm recapping to get us caught up to where we got to get today. So okay. So we have to decide whether we're living we have to choose and decide whether we're living in the new normal or the now normal. Now you can go back to last week's message and broadcast and enjoy the second attachment reason, and that was the Touchpoint Bible highlight of the word decisions, which was where Romans 8:28 comes from. But you'll also hear that the key is that we see the word normal as both an adjective and a noun. As an adjective, normal is conforming to standard, usual, typical, expected. As a noun, it's the usual, average, or typical state of condition. And I offered that this is what normal currently looks like. Currently, normal looks like negativity, obnoxiousness, racism, misery, anger, and lying. And though none of those are going away, what we can take away is their power to maintain head of household and dominate our existence to preferably become nurturing, optimism, relatable, meaning, amen, and love. Okay, so this is why I see it as a choice we have to make and decide what the normal should really look like. Included in my glue goal all the time is to see that if we can carry over some of what we're feeling during this new storm, which is the new normal. It's a new storm. We're always going in a storm. We're either going in a storm, or coming out of a storm, and then going into a new one. So what we want to carry over some of the stuff from this new storm into the now storm or the now normal. What are you doing with this storm? But not included in my glue goal is telling you how you should feel and which way to go. That's why I say it's about choices and decision. So last week we discussed the letters L, N, and O. Today we'll pick up with the R, the M, and the A. So what we did last week was we built from the use of the word, the letter L. We took love and we looked at love, L-O-V-E, let ourselves value everyone. That was where the categories, the perspectives came in, because these are all perspectives through which we're looking at the same topic and seeing things very differently. And sometimes relative to decision. An aunt doesn't necessarily see the same way an uncle does. A parent doesn't necessarily see with someone who has no children, okay? So that's what makes love so important, because we can't always agree, yet we can choose to value one another and their opinion. Then we had to get back to the beginning of the word, because the L was the last letter, and we went back to the N and the O, and we said, how can we change negativity into nurturing? And can the obnoxious really become optimistic? That's on last week's broadcast. Go check it out. And my closing thought for your marination over the week was that I would not say racism is relatable. Because remember, the R is racism relatable. I was not going to say racism is relatable and that we should all understand it. Instead, what I did say to you is that racism can be relatable to some, because you can identify with it because you've experienced it or something similar. Racism does not have to be passed down generation to generation, when what we could really be doing is sharing that we have all been touched by it. And that's where we're going to start this week. So before I do that, let me see, because I got a comment in the thing. Okay, there you go, Vic. You're an uncle, a sibling, a soulmate, a city, from a city, and from a big family. Thank you. All right. Okay. So this is where we're going to start from today. And again, if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, go on and put some comments in there so I can click on them. Doesn't have to be a shout out comment, but I just do that so that the three different medias can see that other people are on. Okay, but that's what we're going to start today. Now, today on my Facebook site and on LinkedIn, I posted this meme that said, beware. Beware, don't become so anti-racist that you become one. They are our brothers and sisters we disagree with. Notice that? Because don't we usually say, well, they are racist and they are this. And I've decided to let the discussion about race just kind of be a short one and end right there, pretty much. Because you see, when we use the pronoun they, it begins the empowerment of those perspective viewpoints that we're happy to identify with. I'm happy to say I'm an uncle and that I'm, I'm a child and that I'm from a large family. See, I'm empowered. But when I say they, I may be saying to somebody else, well, you're not, and I am. See, so I'm empowering my perspective, and I could be diminishing yours. See, when I'm talking about aunts, parents, only children, people raised in towns and small cities, I don't say we. So a piece of my commentary cannot relate to whom I'm talking about. We can't understand racism if we're not a racist. That's my statement. That I'll pause if somebody wants to challenge that or say something. But we cannot understand racism if we're not a racist. And when we dislike them for it, we're doing what we might say they're doing, which is stereotyping based on insufficient information. So do I not see blatant racism? Of course I do. Is there something or someone I'm totally passionate about that I know others, including you, will disagree with? Of course there is. And there's something you and I may never see eyeball to eyeball. Yet, if I focus my anger on your beliefs, I honor them and block out space for mine. And so I'm going to stop and look at it because I got a comment there from Vic. I pray now and I listen and I pray again. Okay, and I guess that was an answer to what we were talking about. We cannot understand racists. Okay, I didn't see when you put that in there because there's a delay in the technology. So others may have seen it, or Vic, if you want to add, but it's fine. But yeah, this is what I like that. We have to pray now and listen and pray again. See, the now, normal, and again, right? You can't just pray once. Even though they say pray ceaselessly, but I do also have a belief that says pray and get out of the way. Don't keep, and I also say pray in faith, not fear. See, praying in fear is, oh, I hope God does this. Praying in faith says, I hope God does this. Because in other words, I hope he does it again. I hope I get to see it. See, that's what the prayer is sometimes. I hope I get to see it. Okay, thanks, Vic. So I was in the right place. Okay. Yeah, I hope I get to see what God does. That's praying in faith. And even when we do that, the reason we hope we get to see it is because it may not manifest in the way the words we use to make that prayer come to being. So that's what makes it tough. Roger Carroll says it's very difficult to grow up in this society and not be a racist. It's a lifetime of unlearning and being woke all of the time. I love to say we can't make this up, because here's the key. That what did my thing say? Is it streaming across there right now? Let me see. Here it goes, Roger Carroll. Racism does not have to be passed down generationally. It doesn't. And so that's why I love your comment, Roger Carroll, because that's what you're saying. I'm saying we don't have to pass it down generationally, but we do. So many people do. It's a lifetime of unlearning because we learn it generation to generation. We teach and we harvest and nurture the next line of racism based on our viewpoint and our perspective. Okay, so thank you for that, Roger Carroll. And then there also goes my praying in faith. It is difficult. See? Praying in fear would be, it is impossible. But praying in faith says it's difficult. And when something is difficult, doesn't that mean that we are willing to try? If something is impossible, we say, I'm not going to even use my time on that. There's no need. It's impossible. That's fear of failure in that case. But when we say it is difficult, we're saying, I am going to give this a try, and I'm going to put what I've got into it because I believe that I can do it. It hasn't happened, but I believe I'm the one can tip that scale. And that's, again, praying in faith. So it is difficult to grow up in this society and not be racist. And you know what? A good friend of mine, homegirl Jackie Smith, when I posted this meme today, she put on there something about everyone, just because of the race that they're in doesn't make them a racist. And I love that because it goes to my point is because it's that word everyone. So yeah, it's Roger Carroll, right? Yeah, it's difficult, but everyone is not a racist. Just because you're white does not make you a white racist. Just because you're black does not make you a black racist. You know what I'm saying? So that's the key. And I love that because I'm always going to talk about individuality and how important that is. Christine, what's going on? It has been a long time. Welcome aboard. If you're following along with us, if you want to jump in on the thread, what we did is we took the choices between, and this will be my only replay because it's because we're doing good on time. But here's your choices, Christine. We got these are called the viewpoint perspectives, and so you want to put in the thread. Which are you? Are you an aunt or an uncle, a parent, or you're a child because you don't have any kids? Are you a sibling because you have brothers and sisters, or are you an only child? Did you grow up in a city or a town? And are you from a large family, 4 children or more, or small? And see streaming across the bottom? Those are my choices from those 5. We're calling them viewpoint perspectives. So if you want to put that in the thread where you fall into those, that would be great and wonderful. And I can jump right in to what we're doing right now. So, but if you don't, that's fine. But you'll see some other people have done that. See, there goes Vic putting it, and then Roger Carroll put in what she was. So that's what you can do, Christine. Okay. But anyway, that's the one catch up we're going to do, and we're going to get moving back to where we are on our message. But again, I love that, Roger Carroll. And this is our interactive session. I don't have to be right. Ooh, see, this is why I love y'all. Because it's so unimportant to stay on the perceived topic. And this is something that I happen to be very good at. And in my speaking gift, where people say, "Oh, well, I'm saying I'm very good at it because I've had people complain about it. Oh, he didn't stay on topic." I'm always on topic. Something that you said connects and brings me to another spot. Excuse me, and then I'll bring it back. But the reason it seems to be off topic because it wasn't in the headline or the subtitle. But the truth is, if you make a comment that I call it takes me somewhere else. Okay, Christine, take care. If you could point to something that makes it seem like it's not on the topic, it came to your mind based on the topic. So it is related. And therefore, we can take a little break. It's like taking a rest stop. When you're driving somewhere, you take a stop to get gas, go to the bathroom, get some food, because you didn't plan to stop at that specific gas station or that restaurant. It's on the way, and you got something that you can pick up from there. And so therefore, we can pick up on, Roger Carroll's statement, and we can make that part of our food for thought. And then Daphne comes in with, I think that's normal to respond in a way that reflects how we naturally feel. However, when we choose to upgrade our feelings to a level that helps us overstand the way we feel, hurt, and why others want to hurt, there's growth. So, overstand the why. Oh, okay. Why we feel hurt. And I tried to change it and make it as if you had a typo. No. When we understand the why we feel hurt and why others want to hurt, there's growth. And see, I love that because I think that goes to Victor's statement about how you have to pray now and then listen and then pray again. Right. Because that's what becomes the key, is that it's normal to respond in a way. And so yeah, see, it doesn't make you a racist when you respond in a certain way, which is also again why I want us to use our viewpoint, our perspective viewpoint, because the way you're going to respond, Daphne, is different from the way I'm going to respond based on how we were, as Roger Carroll said, we were socialized differently. And so, have y'all been watching? I just started watching the new series of Bel Air, which is the offshoot of Prince of Bel Air, and they've got a lot of great motivational messages in there that I've been pretty impressed by, about the way they have the nice mix of growing up in the city versus now growing up in the rich area, and some of the challenges both for the kid from the city as well as the kid who's has grown up with a spoon-fed existence. Oh my God. And they're cousins. And I'm going to agree with Roger Carroll, by the way. I'm stealing that word, overstand. And of course, by stealing, that's just her type of saying I'm sharing. It's another S word. I'm sharing that word, overstand. And so let's go back to that, because when we choose, so now see this is what I'm saying, how we come back to what we're talking about. We're talking about choosing and deciding. So when we choose to upgrade our feelings, I'm feeling this way, but I choose to upgrade my feelings to a level that helps me overstand, not just understand, overstand, because sometimes I don't need to understand. That's why I say I don't understand why you're a racist. If you are, I don't understand it because I'm not one. So I can't get it. So I can understand why I feel hurt by what you may have done and why others want to hurt. And now I'm growing, because now I'm saying, well, you know what? I'm not that way, but this is what they're doing. Wow. So I'm not understand. I hope I'm on the fly with this, and I'm not into, I got to be right. I'm willing to say, hey, this is what I thought, because this, and then now again, back to when you're in person with someone, you have to admit, you have to give your interpretation, and then be willing to say, and have the other person say, no, that's not what I meant. And so that's really important. I don't care. I'm okay with saying this is what I'm believing you're saying, and so that because I'm more interested in us having the synchronicity and us coming to agreement than I am of me with not admitting that I don't know what the hell you were talking about, or that I don't know what I'm talking about. So Daphne, thank you for that. And yeah, I'm going to share the word overstand just like Roger Carroll. Because it's a great word, and you can find different ways to use it. And I remember that show very well. Oh, okay, Vic talking about Fresh Prince of Bel Air. But no, it's the new one, Vic. They have one just called Bel Air. Not with Will Smith. It's just called Bel Air. And so they had, it's not the comedy that Fresh Prince of Bel Air was. And I didn't watch Fresh Prince of Bel Air religiously from the beginning to the end, but in this one, it's so interesting. Has anybody else ever talked to the TV screen? I bet you have. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, oh wow, because immediately they show an adversarial role, jealousy role between Fresh Prince and his cousin, the boy cousin. Once he moves out there, where what's his name? Because it's Will and what's his cousin's name? The Mark. Somebody might know it. Vicky, what's the guy's the son's name? Okay, but I remember whenever I watched the French Prince of Bel Air that kid was funny, and I almost said his name again, and and then he was just like a little lame, But what they're doing with Bel Air is that they're showing that the cousin is very politically correct and scholarly, and he's a little resentful that Will could come out and seem to take some attention from him. Vic, what is the name of his cousin? Anybody? Because it's Will and the cousin, the boy. And I keep on, and Will. Ooh, I can't think of. Somebody throw that in there when you get it. Let me move on. Okay, let me move on. Because I'm so caught up on that one. Oh man! But anyway, watch Bel Air. Check it out. And even if you don't watch Bel Air, it goes to what this is saying. That's what I'm saying, is that sometimes it shows the different perspectives. See, because when we're watching a TV show or a movie, what happens? This is what I mean by speaking to screen. You know that this person is innocent. Carlton, thank you. Yes, Carlton. Carlton is such an insecure dude in the movie, in the show, and I'm like, what? And I mean, like, vindictive, insecure, and so it's showing their relationship, and that's why again, Daphne remind me, it's showing their relationships growth, as they come to an overstanding of seeing the difference. Okay, so so that's interesting. All the time I talk to the screen and the dancers. You forgot his name. Right, okay, good. But anyway, yeah, we got Carlton. Right, because he do that dance. In fact, did they create the dance called the Carlton? Oh, my God. Thank you, Roger Carroll. Family in the house. All right. But anyway, that's the whole point, is that, when we choose, okay, and I'm going to make this the last time I tell you, when we choose to respond in a way that reflects how we naturally feel about someone, that's what we choose to upgrade. That's another word I would steal along with overstand, Roger Carroll and Daphne, is upgrade. Because see, that's the key, is that we're choosing to upgrade. Okay, Daphne, on point. Oh, okay, I often write long sentences. That's okay. That's, woo! Thank you, Daphne. Hey, and that's why I have to remember to come back to the comments, because I know sometimes and there's a delay. So you might have a long sentence and a delay. Don't stop your stream of consciousness. Go on and write the long sentences, and we'll see if I can break it down. Woo, woo, woo. But when we're in sync, that's and again, when three or four of us come together, see, when we're in sync, we can usually break it down. Now, can we spread that out? Again, this is what we're talking about. Can we now take the lessons that we've learned and help somebody else? Are you willing to do that? Because that's really the key. Are you willing to do it out? And so, no, it's not that you're wordy. You want to get your explanation, make yourself clear. See, so many times, these labels that people use, that we use to hold ourselves back. I have an affirmation called SILLY, SILLY, self-imposed limitations lie to you. Ooh, can I put that in the chat? I think I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. SILLY. Why? Self-imposed TAONS, lie to you. Okay, that's what I want to say, is that we have to recognize sometimes silly self-imposed limitations lie to you. When think of the silly reasons we use to hold ourselves back, and not that you did it, Daphne, but think about it. If you say, well, I write wordy sentences, so therefore I won't say anything because I may be too wordy. See, that's what happens when we start listening to someone else. And it's coming right up to what we're talking about. It's choosing the messenger. And so a lot of us do that. What Vic says, my sentences are short and you make them long, break down. Good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. See, you do what you do, and then let somebody, stay in your lane. But find out that we can work together and not be afraid. So Vic doesn't, well, I write short sentences. I better not put it, because then it's going to look like, I didn't have a long thought like Daphne. No, we can say, hey, I'm the short sentence writer. Hey, I'm the long sentence writer. Sporty, break it down. Do the breakdown children. Okay, Rufus Thomas is on the set. But anyway, that's again, it all comes together. It all comes together. Let me get rolling with the message. So where was I? I done lost myself. Okay, love. I can look right here and see. When I focus. Oh, that was where. Give me see. I dropped out on. Not racism is relatable. We can't understand racism if we're not racist. And then I said this stereotyping based. That's what we do. And then this was where I stopped. If I focus my anger on your beliefs, I honor them instead of block out. Instead of and then I block out space for my own. See, if I'm so focused on you being racist, I'm actually honoring you being racist. And we're just using racism as an example here. But if I'm, well, it's because we're using the letter R. If I'm focused, well, this is what racists always do this and racists do that. See, I'm honoring you because I'm focused on what you do and I'm not spending time on what I do. I'm not spending time on what Daphne called upgrading my belief system because I'm so focused on being downgraded by what you do. And now that goes back to what Roger Carroll said. You know, we have to unlearn the things that have been generationally taught. How do you tell me when my grandfather sits me on his knee and says, son, this is the way it is? How do you tell somebody just ignore what your grandfather said? This is the way it's going to be. No, I mean, that's part of what we all do. So, in some way, understand that what may be the viewpoint perspective of racism, but also understand that it's not legitimate and it's a choice. And so you can choose to hear these stereotypes, and then you can also choose to upgrade and make them things that they really need to mean. So instead of honoring yours, I think about mine. And then I can relate to why. See, I can relate. I don't have to understand. But this is where overstand comes, by the way. I can relate to why you won't budge. Based on your viewpoint, I can relate to why you won't budge because I'm thinking about something that I believe in so strongly. And that's why I was saying, I'm not going to honor your thought. I'm going to think about what I believe in. And you know what? Based on what I believe, I can see why you won't budge. I think it was last week I said something to the fact, if it wasn't last week, it was a different broadcast where I said something to the fact that I'm not upset when someone beats me in a competition. I honor them because I know what it takes to beat me. See, I don't go into anything expecting to lose. People, and this is gonna go with the next thing I'm getting ready to put in the thread. But Sporty, you so nice enough. Yeah, but I don't go into anything expecting to lose. I calmly agree to disagree. I stay calm. And so after I may lose a competition, I'm happy to honor the person that beat me. Because I know what it takes to beat me. You don't know what it takes to beat me. And sometimes the person who beats me didn't know they had what it took. Because I do not give them any indication that they can beat me. Every single thing I compete in, y'all, I plan to win. And I know that I cannot win every single thing I compete in. So when I don't win, I'm okay. It's like that wasn't mine. We're happy to say, if it's for me, God will give it to me. And then we get mad when we don't get it. No, I'm okay. If God says, oh, Sporty, you're not going to win this, I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me play. So that's the key. Okay. So let me go back to a couple of comments before we move on. Focus on the upgrade in order to continue to grow. Because if you stand still, if you that's understanding. Roger Cow, you want to make that one up? You want to use another way of defining understanding? If you stand still, you might not you might rot and decay. So if you don't take a stand, then you understand who you really need to be, and you might rot and decay. Can I like that? Can I use that, Roger Carroll? All right, and then what Vic said, I like overstand. Yeah, everybody's staying with it. We learn still. And Daphne pulled out the church handkerchief. Well, y'all, this is all about us, okay? But let me get back to this, okay? Because let me get us back on, okay? So instead of honoring your, I'm gonna put that back up there. If I focus on your beliefs, I honor them and block out space for mine. So instead of honoring yours, I think about mine, and I can relate to why you won't budge. Therefore, I calmly agree to disagree. And that's, again, if you look at that post, if you get so anti-racist that you will become a racist, because racism it's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. And so, someone who, if we like to say they're our brother and sisters when we go to church, you don't, until you find out what they believe in, that's where you may want to start. Excuse me. And what we can't, so we can agree to disagree. Let me look at one comment before I go. Okay, thank you, Roger Carroll. So I got that right. Cool. On using understand. So what we can agree on, we can calmly agree to disagree. But what we can agree on is that the A in anger infuses us with a reactionary emotion. See, if I can keep you angry, I can control you. If I can keep you angry, I can control you, because in your state of anger, you will be waiting for my next move so that you can express your anger. Okay, here's some examples of it. If he does that one more time, or just wait until she says something about. See, those are reactionary. And so that's your state of anger. I'm controlling you now because you're waiting. The next time he does that, this is what I'm going to do. So therefore, I am now controlling you because you're waiting on my next action so that you can express what you consider a natural emotion. But no, anger is a reactionary emotion. And if someone can keep you angry, they can control you. Now let's go even further back and look at that legacy in the generations. Think about slavery, and let's expand slavery to every type of people, because everybody's been in some kind of slavery and bondage. How did our ancestors make it through? If they expressed their anger, they got killed as a part of the discipline. So they had to be able to stay calm and not let the anger control them. They had to be able to see something, I'm saying they, but let's say we have to be able to see what is happening and say, you know what, I'm okay. And then somebody's going to say, oh, you just, a sellout because you're taking a stand. Oh my God. It all comes together, y'all. But you just have to be creative about how you look at it. So let me move on, because here's one that's an age old. We got to say, if he does that one more time, just wait till she. There's the oldest one that's on the books. Tell me if you heard this one. You might start it, but I'm gonna finish it. Remember how when we were young, that's how we talk about a fight? Yeah, well, he may start it, but I'm going to finish it. That's still reactionary. That's still your anger waiting for me to make a move there's that again, Roger Carroll. See, there's that something we've been learning for years. It's one of those cliches that we learned for years. All right, you start and I'm going to finish it. So for instance, speaking of cliches, we honor the cliche, misery loves company. But I want to give you a new one, because guess what? Ministry loves company as well. See, it's choosing to change. So I'm going to go right into the ending here and choose to change. And this is how we talk about doing that upgrading that y'all are talking about. Ministry loves company. So I upgraded our M from mindset, because we had mindset in normal. I upgraded from mindset to ministry because one of the touch points that I found in my reading this morning, I'm not going to read the full scripture to you, but it's 2 Corinthians 8, 18 through 24, where Paul is introducing his messengers as honorable. What I'll read is actually verse 21, which is, we are careful to be honorable before the Lord, but we also want everyone else to know we are honorable. So here's the modern day application to that, and it's called reputation. A certain executive earns a reputation for being cutthroat in his business practices. In the interest of generating profit, he has cut ethical corners and stepped on or over employees. What if one of his fearful and intimidated colleagues, in the midst of considering Christianity, were to discover that this man is also an active member of a local church? Paul is reminding us that although our salvation does not depend on our reputation can impede the ministry of the gospel to others. If your neighbors or work associates discovered that you were a Christian, or whatever your faith is, would it draw them closer to that faith, or would it push them away? Y'all got that? Okay. And that's why ministry loves company. And I'm sorry, I forgot to click on that. That was reputation as the modern day application to that. And that's why we need the A, instead of being anger, to stand for amen. AMEN, a message that everyone needs, which is much more appropriate, because what we need above anger is a message that takes us back to the connection of love. Let ourselves value everyone, because we now see that L in normal, we took it to the beginning, because we see that we use it to start by having the end as the goal. When we talk about whether it's the new normal or the now normal, we move the L. The goal is value, whether it's new or now. And just to remember and recognize that we can't always agree, but we can choose to value. Let me see what comment I got there. I got to go back to that. Mastering our emotions is powerful. I'm going to let that sit, and I'll come back because I'm right near the close, so I can close and come back to that. All right? But we can't always agree, but we can choose to value. That's how we opened up, talking about love. All right? And we have to choose and decide whether we're living in the new normal or the now normal. And we have to figure out how to make new work with now. Because we have to know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love him and are called by him. Again, Romans 8:28, which was the guiding scripture for this message. See, and so that's why I can say now, let me go back to, if we just wrap that up a little and just look at that fact that yes, mastering our emotions is powerful and it's needed. See, no emotion is wrong. You should feel angry. You should feel fear. You should feel confident. You should feel happy. You should be scared. You should cry. Every emotion is legitimate. It's what we do with it that makes a difference. That's that mindset that we have to have. What is, like I said, however, when I compete to win. It's a mindset. But it's also, your emotions are powerful. And that's why it's so important to not get caught up in reacting. It's so important to do what Vic said, pray and listen, and then pray again. So that instead of reacting, sometimes you want to be proactive. And in your proactivity, what is your reputation going to do? Is it going to show that misery loves company, or is it going to show that ministry loves company? Hey, I'm inviting you to join me, because what I have is rich and valuable. And I know that you're someone who deserves that richness and that value. You're someone that I can love. You're someone who loves yourself. And see, now once we start to add all of that stuff up, we find that the new and the now has to work together. And we've just got to figure out how to make them work together by upgrading, overstanding, not understanding. Woo, I like to add them all up that we had. Praying, listening, and praying again. And recognize that we got what it takes. So, hey, thank you for joining, for choosing and deciding to join and then enjoy in sharing another Glue Wednesday. And most importantly, thank you for recognizing and believing that glue, God's love, undoes everything. Not that it will tear it apart, but if it's torn apart, it will put it back together. Next week, I'll have a new message. I'll figure out something. But, again, it's all food for thought. Thank y'all for throwing in your perspective, viewpoints, because that makes a difference. If we were to wrap stuff up and think about it, I hope whichever medium you watch this on, that the shout outs work for you, because that's, again, how you put that whole puzzle piece together and make it all happen. So I'll see y'all next week. And I hope, by the way, this Friday, I'll have my Gift Friday message, which will be a sharing of one of my original poetic messages where I use my poetry and then tell you how to use that poem in terms of your everyday life to uplift somebody's spirit, possibly yours. Monday, I'll have the Monday Morning Moment, which is a 1 to 2 minute inspirational message to get your week started. And by the way, Gift Friday is usually 8 to 12 minutes. And then again, next Wednesday, my 30 to 45 minute message, I believe, is my Glue Wednesday. And that's my interactive one. So even if you're watching a video, please put your comments in the chat and I know I'm saying this at the end, I should have been saying it at the beginning, along as we go along in terms of those viewpoint perspectives, etc. But I'm going to just let it ride out with Daphne's comment because I think that's beautiful. Mastering our emotions is powerful. Thank y'all. All right, Vic, go on and put your take care family in there. And I'll see y'all again. All right, over and out. Ciao.